So the next question was asked in 2015. Let's see the questions. The question says, when a bill is referred to a joint sitting of both houses of parliament, it has to be passed by, right? So it talks about a joint sitting, that is under Article 108. Yeah. Now, as we know that the joint sitting called by President of India, right? Now, when the President will call a joint sitting, when there is a deadlock between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha with respect to an ordinary bill. So in case of a deadlock, the President will call for a joint sitting to resolve this deadlock, right? In this joint sitting, only those provisions will be discussed and voted, only those provisions will be discussed and voted, which is a reason for deadlock. Is or are for a reason for deadlock. It means that not in the joint sitting, not all the bill, whole as a bill or the bill will not be discussed. Only the part of a bill that becomes a reason for deadlock will be discussed in the joint sitting. Clear? Now it asks that it will be passed through which? Basically it means to ask the majority. So does it pass through the simple majority of a members presence and voting, or it pass through the 3/4 majority of members presence and voting, or it pass through the 2/3 majority of house, or absolute majority of the house? Clear? So to answer these questions, we should have an idea about the majority which has been talked in Constitution of India. So if we see the majority, so if we see there are four types of majority. One is absolute majority. Absolute majority. The second is effective majority. Effective majority. The third is simple majority. And the last is special majority. These are the four types of majority through which decisions are taken. Now, when we talk about absolute majority, this means that the majority of 50% plus 1 of the total membership of the house. Right. So this majority in Indian context is not been used in any place except it is used only to form a government. To form a government, whether at the union or at the state legislature. Other than this forming a government, that is proving, which means that proving a majority in the house. So other than this, the absolute majority has not been used anywhere in Indian political context. So and this that is not been also been used by the constitutions. Now when we talk about effective majority, so it means that the majority of, that is majority means 50% plus 1 majority of the then member of the house. Then member of the house. Which means that the total membership of the house minus vacant seat, which will become a then member of the house. Clear? And this has been used under Article 67, that is to removal of Vice President. Clear? And the term which has been used in the constitutions is that it says that the then member of the house, this term is been used in constitution, but the effective majority term is not been used. This term effective majority not used in constitutions. Instead of effective majority, the constitution says the majority of the then member of the house, which means that the total membership, that is vacant seat, should be minus from the total membership to arrive at a effective majority. Now this simple majority is also known as a functional majority. Now this means that the majority of that is 50% plus one of the members present and voting, right? And if the constitution says that the house passes, like for the ordinary bill, right, or to be used in the joint sitting, passes of any joint sitting, or for the money bill. So if the constitution does not mention any specific majority, if the judge say that the then member of the house, it means that the constitution saying that the bill or motion should be passed through the simple majority. So if the majority is not been mentioned in the constitutions, not mentioned in constitutions, so it should be considered that it has been used as a simple majority, that is functional majority. Because of this, it is also known as a functional majority. Now the last majority is a special majority. Now this special majority again subclassified under the four subheading. So first is used for the Article 249. Now Article 249 is empowering the Parliament to legislate on state subject, right? So it says that a majority of 2/3 members present and voting. So if Rajya Sabha pass a resolution with respect to under Article 249 with a majority of 2/3 members present and voting, then it will allow the Parliament to legislate on a subject matter under national importance. That has been talked in Article 249. The second subclassification is related to the Article 368 of the Constitution. Now this talks about an amendment to the Constitution. Right. So again it has a two types. So this B and C comes under Article 368. So for the normal amendment, like for the fundamental rights and DPSP, if the Parliament wants to amend the fundamental rights or DPSP, it will use a special majority, that is a majority of total membership of the House plus majority of 2/3 members present and voting, right? But when the Constitution wants to amend a federal character of the Constitution, so it will use the Parliament will use a majority of total membership of the House plus majority of 2/3 members present and voting, and then after this the bill will be sent to the State Legislative Assembly. So if the 50%, more than 50% of the state legislature pass this bill or ratify this bill with a simple majority, then it will be considered as that the Constitution is amended, clear, with a federal character. This is the third type of special majority, and the last type of special majority deals under Article 61, which talks about an impeachment of president. So it says that if a majority of 2/3 members of total membership of the House pass motions of impeachment motion of a president, then the president will impeach from his office, clear? So these are the four types of majority which the Constitution mentions about the special majority with the types, like if it given under Article 249, it will say that majority of the 2/3 members of presence and voting. It used the effective majority, but the term of effective majority has not been used. It says the majority with the then member of the House. And if other than all the matter, all the functionals matter, all the process of the Parliament passing of bill and or joint sitting or related to the money bill or voting in a no confidence motions, any kind of this adjournment motions or cut motions, all these will be dealt through the simple majority, and because of this it is known as a functional majority. And absolute majority is not been used in Indian constitutions for any purpose other than only the proving majority in the House while forming a government. Clear? So now if we move to the question. So the question says that in with reference, when a bill is referred to joint sitting of both houses of Parliament, it has to pass through. So it has been passed through the simple majority because of it is an functional majority, right? So simple majority. The second cannot be answered because it talks about the 3/4 majority, and the 3/4 majority has not been used anywhere in the constitutions for any mechanisms. Third cannot be answered because they say that 2/3 majority of the House. No, it is also not been. It is a special majority, and it has to be passed through the simple majority. And the last, that absolute majority of the House, the D cannot be the answer. Why? Because there is nowhere the absolute majority is used under the constitutions. Only the absolute majority is used for the formations of government. Is it clear? So answer to this question, if we say, that is a simple majority of a members of presence and voting. So if we see the explanations to this question, so the Article 108 talks about a joint sitting of both houses in certain cases. So the purpose of the joint sitting is that a joint sitting of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha is conveyed to resolve a deadlock when both houses disagree on a passage of bill, excluding certain types of bill, right? So this is basically talks about an ordinary bill where there is a deadlock is created between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Now conditions for joint sitting. So it says that joint sitting can be called in following situations: when if a bill is passed by one house and rejected by the other house, then there will be situations of deadlock. Then a joint sitting will be called. Second, or if the two houses disagree on the amendments to the bill. So it talks about an ordinary bill. So in case of ordinary bill, if there is a disagreement between the amending the ordinary bill, then also it will be a situations of deadlock. So in this case also a joint sitting will call. Or if more than 6 months elapse without the other house taking any action on a bill passed by the one house, so this will also create a situations of deadlock. So to resolve the deadlock, the president will call the joint sitting. So basically joint sitting is a mechanism through which to resolve the deadlock between the two houses and to pass a bill. Clear? Now, which type of bill is an exclusion from the joint sitting? So there are two types of bill which where the joint sitting is not applied. So the money bill, which requires a Lok Sabha's exclusive authorities, and constitutional amendment bill under Article 368. So these two types of bill are excluded from the Article 108, right? Now summoning authority, so the President of India summons the joint sitting. Presiding officer, as we know that the Speaker of the Lok Sabha presides over a joint sitting. In his absence, the Deputy Speaker of the Lok Sabha presides. If both are unavailable, that is Speaker and Deputy Speaker, then Deputy Chairman of the Rajya Sabha presides. And if suppose that all are absent, but all three, in case of all three unavailable, then a members nominated by the House to preside the joint sitting, right? So decision by majority. So bill is passed in a joint sitting by a simple majority of members present and voting, and because of a known as a character of functional majority. Clear? So this is an answer to the questions that in joint sitting the bill will be passed through a simple majority. Clear? Let's move to the next question. Now the next question was asked in 2015. So the question says, with reference to union government, consider the following statement. So the three statement has been given. Now let's analyze the first statement. So Department of Revenue is responsible for preparations of union budget that is presented to the parliament. This is a very factual questions. If you are aware, so you will be directly answering the questions. If you are not aware, so you will not be in a position to answer the questions. So let's move to the next statement. Can we answer from the next statement through using an elimination method? So it says that no amount can be withdrawn from Consolidated Fund of India without the authorizations from the Parliament of India. Yes, it is true. So we can say that the second statement is true. But through now in this questions we cannot use the eliminations method by using an second statement. So let's see that second statement is true. Now move to the third. All the disbursement made from the public account also need authorizations from the Parliament of India. So it talks about a public account, and the withdrawal from public account need an authorizations of Parliament of India. No, it is not required. So third is an wrong statement. So we can say that B and D cannot be our answer. Now we need to find the whether the one is correct or not, right? So if we see that the Department of Revenue is not responsible for preparations of union budget, as other in place of Department of Revenue, it is a Department of Economic Affair who prepares the budget under Ministry of Finance. So it's not revenue. Revenue is related to the regarding tax proposal. So revenue is related to tax proposal. It is not related to preparations of budget of the union. So the first statement we can say that is incorrect. So the correct answer to this question is C, that is only 2 is correct. Clear? Now if you see the explanations to this questions, so related to second and third, we should see that Constitution of India is provided 3 funds, right? The first and the 2 fund, that is talks on Article 266, which says that there will be a Consolidated Fund of India, and a public account fund. This dealt under Article 266. The another articles would talk about a fund, that is 267. It says that there shall be a contingency fund of India, which is also known as emergency fund. Right? So if we see the Consolidated Fund of India, so the Consolidated Fund, all the earning of Government of India is credited into this fund. Right? So withdrawal from this fund requires parliamentary approval. Right? And you have learned about a term that is known as appropriation bill under a appropriation bill in one of the stages in budget. So this appropriation, through the appropriation bill, the passage of appropriation bill, the Parliament approved the withdrawal of a money from the Consolidated Fund of India. So we can say that this fund, that is the Consolidated Fund of India, is under the legislative control. Right? Under public account fund, this all other incomes which is not credited into Consolidated Fund of India, like saving accounts, PPF, everything, all credit into the public account fund, and this disposal of this fund not required Parliament authorizations. Clear? It means we can say that the disposal from a public account fund is at the executive hand. Executive hand. Clear? Whereas a disposal from the Consolidated Fund of India is at the hand of Legislature. Now, when we talk about a contingency fund of India, that is an emergency fund, it is at the disposal of President. So, not required parliamentary approval for withdrawal. This is also at the executive hand. This is also executive order, can be withdrawn from the executive order because of the president, and this is used for the unforeseen situations, circumstances. Clear? So these are the three types of fund, and similar fund were also available to the states: Consolidated Fund of States, Contingency Fund of States, and Public Account Fund. Clear? So this are the three funds is been provided through the Constitution of India. Now, if you see the questions, the first, the second, and third of the says. So second statement says that the no amount can be withdrawn from the Consolidated Fund of India without authorizations. Yes, it is true, because Consolidated Fund of India being a it's an you can say that it's a fund of a government. All the earning of the government will be credited into this, and all the expenditure of the government will be debited from this. So it requires an parliament authorizations. But the public account funds is at the disposal of executive, not at the disposal of parliament. So the third is incorrect. Clear? Now, if you see the explanations, the explanation says the preparations of union budget is primarily responsibility of the Department of Economic Affairs under Ministry of Finance. It is not a responsibility of Department of Revenue, but a Department of Economic Affairs. Now, what the Department of Revenue do? So it says that while the Department of Revenue provides inputs regarding tax proposal, it is not directly responsible for preparing the budget. Clear? And because of this, the first statement is incorrect. Now, if you see the second, the Article 266 talks about Consolidated Fund and Public Account of India and of the states. So, Consolidated Fund of India, all revenues received by the Government of India or the Government of states, all loans raised by them, and all money received in the repayment of loans from the Consolidated Fund of India are respective states. Money from this fund can only be withdrawn through an appropriation made by law that is approved by the Parliament or state legislature. Whereas a public account, money other than those in a consolidated fund, that is provident fund, saving schemes, or other deposits, is credited to public account of India or a respective state. Money in a public account can be withdrawn without the parliamentary or legislative approval, as it held in the trust of specific purpose. So the money from the public account or contingency fund is at the executive disposal. Clear? Okay? Now let's move to the next question. Next question was asked in 2014. So the question says that with reference to union budget, right? Which of the following is or are covered under non-planned expenditure? Right. So before answering the question, we should understand what is planned and non-planned expenditure. So if you see that before 2017, the budget was divided into two, that is planned and non-planned expenditure. Now, if you see what is planned and non-planned expenditure, so the planned expenditure is a government spending which is planned under 5 years plan, and we know that before this there was a planning commission. The job of the planning commission is to prepare a plan of a 5-year plan. Yes or no? So this planning commissions prepare a 5-year plan for the government spending, and this includes investment in development projects like infrastructure, health, education. So this is a planned expenditure. When we talk about a non-planned expenditure, so it includes all other government spending which is not a part of the planned expenditure. Planned expenditure or development projects. Clear? But as I said, this was a situation before 2017, but by the 2017-18 budget, the government has abolished this distinctions. So from 2017-18, the planned expenditure and non-planned expenditure was abolished by the government. Now move back to the question. So the question says, with reference to the union budget, which of the following is or are covered under non-planned expenditure? Defense expenditure, yes, it covers under non-planned expenditure. Interest payment, yes, it covers under the non-planned expenditure. Then salaries and pensions, yes, it has been non-planned expenditure. Subsidies, yes. So the answer to this question is all of the given statements are part of a non-planned expenditure. So we can say that. So C is the answer to this question. Now if you see the explanations, that non-planned expenditure refers to expense that are not part of the government's planned development activities and are recurring in nature. These includes operational cost of government departments, subsidies, interest payments, defense expense and pensions. If we see the components of non-planned expenditure, that is a defense expenditure, interest payment, salaries and subsidies. So defense expenditure includes spending on armed force, procurement of defense equipments and operational cost. This is a major component of non-planned expenditure. Interest payments made on loans and borrowing by the government. This is a mandatory and recurring expenditure. So government took loans, so they have to pay the interest on the loan also. So that is a mandatory. You cannot plan that this year we will not give the interest, so we will give interest in the next year. This is a mandatory provision. So you have to pay, right? Non-plan means you have to pay. Salaries and pensions include salaries of government employees and pensions of for retired persons. These are non-discretionary expenses. You have to pay the salaries, you have to pay the pensions, those who are working, those who have worked for the government. So you cannot say that salary will not be paid this year or this month. So you can plan for this. This is the non-plan. That has to be paid. Subsidies includes food subsidies, fertilizers, fuel subsidies, other form of subsidies. So this is subsidies also covers under the non-planned expenditure. But the distinctions between the planned and non-planned expenditure was abolished in the union budget by 2017-2018 budget. The category existed previously and are still relevant for the historical and conceptual understanding. Clear? So this is a questions related to planned and non-planned expenditure. Okay? Now if you move to the next question. So next question was asked in 2014. Now if you see the question, so it says that consider the following statements regarding a no confidence motion in India. So it talks about a no confidence motion, right? So as we all know that the no confidence motion is not mentioned in constitution, right? It originates from the Article 75, which talks about the Council of Ministers are collectively responsible to Lok Sabha. So it means the no confidence motion is a tool of Lok Sabha. Raj Sabha has no power in this. Clear? Okay? Then this no confidence motion is used by the opposition member to showcase that the government has the government loses its majority in the Lok Sabha, right? So no confidence motion basically, because Article 75 talks about that Council of Ministers are collectively responsible to the Lok Sabha. It means, and it also says that the Council of Ministers shall be in office till they enjoy the confidence of the House. Till they enjoy the confidence of the House. Clear? So this no confidence motion is to showcase that, it has been generally used by the oppositions, that to showcase the government loses its majority. Okay, let's see the statement given with respect to the no confidence motions. So the first statement says there is no mention of no confidence motions in the Constitution of India. Yes, it is true. So the Constitution of India has not been mentioned. It is mentioned in the rule and procedure of Lok Sabha. So first statement is true. A motion of no confidence can be introduced only in the Lok Sabha only. Yes, this is also true, because according to Article 75, the Council of Ministers are responsible to Lok Sabha, so it is a tool to be used by the Lok Sabha. So both of the given statements are true. So the answer to this question is C, that is both 1 and 2 are correct answer. And this is very simple questions. So it has been expected that everyone should have marked this answer correctly. Clear? So if you see the explanations, that Article 75 clause 3 says the Council of Ministers is collectively responsible to Lok Sabha. The Constitution of India does not explicitly mention the concept of no confidence motion. However, it is governed by the Rule 189 of the Rules of Procedure and Conduct of Business in Lok Sabha. The motion is a parliamentary procedure that allows members of Lok Sabha to express their lack of confidence in the government, and this tool is generally used by the oppositions. The no confidence motion can be introduced only in the Lok Sabha, as it is the house where the government is directly accountable to the members according to Article 75 of the Constitutions. The Rajya Sabha, being permanent body with no power to grant or withdraw confidence, so does not entertain no confidence motion. Clear? Now if you move to the next question, so next question was asked in 2014. Clear? So it says that which of the following is the largest committee of the Parliament? So this is basically a committee related. This is basically related to the Parliamentary Committee. Clear? So if we see largest committee, so we know that there are two types of committees. One is standing committee and one is ad hoc committee. Standing committee is a permanent committee. Right? Ad hoc committee is a temporary committee. So this committee were formed when there is a requirement of any committee, and so because of that nature it is known as a temporary committee. So when the job of the committee is finished, the committee will be dissolved or the committee will end. But in case of standing committee, whether they have performed or they have finished the job, the committee will be in the always been in existence mode. Because of this, it is known as a standing and permanent committee. Clear? So let's see. It says that which of the following is the largest committee of the Parliament. Clear? So committee on a public account. Committee on a public account. So it has a 22 members, 15 from Lok Sabha and 7 from Rajya Sabha. Committee on estimate. It has a 30 members, all from the Lok Sabha. Committee on Public Undertaking, again it has a 22 members, 15 from Lok Sabha plus 7 from the Rajya Sabha. Committee on Petitions, so this Committee on Petitions, so both House have their separate committee. Lok Sabha has a separate Committee on Petitions having with the 15 members, and Rajya Sabha has a separate Committee of Petitions of members of 10 members. So on the basis of membership, if we see that the B, that is Committee on Estimate, is the largest committee according to the questions which has been asked. So we need to answer the largest committee of Parliament. So on the basis of the membership, we can say that the B, that is Committee on estimate is the largest committee. And if we see that all the members of this committee are drawn from the Lok Sabha, so we can also say that it is an exclusively under the control of Lok Sabha, or Lok Sabha has a monopoly over the estimate committee. Clear? Now if you see the explanations to the questions. So the committee on estimate consists of 30 members from the Lok Sabha, that is House of People, and it is responsible for examining the estimate of expenditure of the government of India. The primary task of the committee is to scrutinize and recommend the budgetary allocations of various government ministers and departments. So this is a job of an estimate committee. If we see the committee on public account, so it consists of 22 members, 15 from the Lok Sabha and 7 from the Rajya Sabha, and it examines the accounts of the governments and any expenditure incurred by the government. So it is primarily concerned with the ensuring that the public money is spent effectively, efficiently, and in compliance with the laws. Now if you see the committees on public undertaking, which consists of 22 members, 15 from the Lok Sabha and 7 from the Rajya Sabha, and is responsible for scrutinizing the functioning of a public sector undertaking and evaluating their performance. Clear? So what is committee on petitions? So committee on petitions, as we know that both the houses had their separate committee on petitions. So it consists of 15 members from the Lok Sabha for the Lok Sabha committee on petitions and 10 members from the Rajya Sabha for Rajya Sabha committee on petitions. This committee examines petitions on bills and on matters of general public importance. It also examines petitions submitted by the public on various matters related to government policies, grievances, or legislations. So this is a committee on petitions. So answer to this question is estimate committee having a 30 members being the largest committee of the parliament within the given options. Clear?